/AskReddit by Reddit. What's the juiciest rumor at your school that turned out to be 100% true? New kid comes to high school. Has a funny accent because his parents were missionaries traveling all over the world. He was actually kind of cool. Spoke at least 4 different languages: English, Spanish, Russian and Mandarin. He was super polite and everyone liked him. Of course he had haters, mainly the so-called bullies, a concept he never understood. Rumor began that he was well versed in many forms of martial arts. He never denied or admitted to them. One of the bullies decided to find out. He was much bigger than the new kid. New kid did everything in his power to not escalate the fight. Even took a punch from said bully. Well, guess the rumor was true. Not only did the new kid beat his butt, the bully pooped himself. Most awesome thing I ever saw in high school. Edit. Unfortunately, I was never really close to him. But I had heard from another friend of mine that he ended up moving after high school. Nobody seems to know anything else. I barely remember his first name. It was not an easy one, let alone his last name. So he will live on in memory as that one foreign kid that nobody messed with. Resource officer was a child molester and then murdered his wife after he was fired. He fled and they still haven't found him over 10 years later. He's on Marshall's top 15 most wanted list. His name was Dan Hires and his mother thinks he's dead. The computer tech teacher got caught having sex with a student. He was put on suspension while the investigation was conducted. He killed himself by running his car into a tree. 2 teachers that were married to each other were sleeping with students. The husband was the first to do it, and the wife found out and slept with some of her students as revenge. Also, the resource officer was sleeping with some of the 18-year-old seniors. All got confirmed when they were fired for it. Well, the teachers got fired. The officer got moved to bicycle patrol. The art teacher was sleeping with both the history teacher and RE teacher. She was married to the chemistry teacher who she'd previously had an affair with, while married to the woodwork teacher. I believe she married the RE teacher sometime after I left school. Edit. A few people have asked what RE is. Religious education, which state schools in the UK used to have to teach. Taught by an atheist, which was refreshing. This is better than a Mexican soap opera. That there is an underground bunker from the Cold War era below the school. Not only is it there, but it turns out you can access it from the P.E changing room through a secret trapdoor. Edit. It's in Krakow, Poland, because so many of you were curious, and it looks like there's actually lots of schools that have one. Edit 2. Also, it is confirmed to be a bunker, but it was built before the school existed, and was most likely emptied by previous owners of the building. The wood tech teacher was married to the French teacher. They had a child. The PE teacher ducked the French teacher. The wood tech teacher went into the PE department and threatened to beat the crap out of the PE teacher with a cricket bat. I believe this was during a normal school day, but it was before my year started there. A second PE teacher got involved and stopped it, so everyone kept their jobs. Later on, the wood tech teacher married the geography teacher, and they had 2 kids, whilst a third PE teacher cheated on her husband with the second P.E teacher. And every Wednesday an hour before lunch I would see PE teachers 2 and 3 through the window of my science classroom. They would get in a car and leave together. Sometimes I would see them come back and sometimes I wouldn't. I jokingly pointed it out to people before anyone else caught on, and later they became a couple that was known to students. TLDR. 6 teachers, 3 pregnancies, 2 affairs, 1 angry husband with a cricket bat, and a partridge in a pear tree. Teacher from my high school. Girls were creeped out by him and constantly reported him for making them uncomfortable. He was quite obese, belly hung to knees, so the school and other students wrongly assumed these girls were being rude. 6 years later he's in prison after being caught with child porn on his computer, alongside upskirt photos of girls from my school. Are you from Victoria, Australia, by any chance? Because I have the exact same story as you, haha. My 6th grade math teacher was super creepy. He would assign seats randomly but always placed the girls in the front of the classroom. Did the whole lingering stare thing, and was always trying to get people to hang out with him during lunch. I never did, but he was married and has a baby, so no one really suspected him of anything other than being creepy. Fast forward about 7 years. The teacher ended up being a sex offender. He had an ongoing relationship with a girl that began when she was 13. Based on what I could see from the various news articles, she was either in my year or the year before me. The police came to arrest him in the middle of his class, cuffed him in front of his students, and then had him walk throughout campus in cuffs to get to their car. I don't feel bad for him at all, but I can't imagine how his wife and son must feel. Edit. For everyone asking, this was in the Bay Area, California. Probably not the juiciest thing, but the one I remember, because of how I found out. A few of our high school libraries' walls were weird. Sort of a lowercase b shape. So there was this empty space behind the bookshelves up against the walls. Tunnels. Basically. Word was, students were ducking in there. I worked in the library. Had to move the shelves, clean the tunnels. Found used condoms. It was an all-boys school at the time, if that matters. Mind, the condoms weren't the worst thing, really. The leftover food debris in there was worse, stuff like chicken bones. Edit. Couple years later, I was talking with an ex-schoolmate. Another guy from our graduating class comes in. I hate that guy, my friend says. He's ducking gay. Dude, you're gay. There's gay, and there's so ducking gay other gay people think you're too ducking gay. Turns out that gent had been one of the entrepreneurial fellows selling services for a few dollars ago. I wasn't shocked, since I already had some idea, but I was surprised that the going rate had been so cheap. The cheerleading team was doing coke off the toilet seats. Edit. For everyone saying the tank would be better, maybe my high school was unusual, but we had the same high power flush toilets like other public bathrooms. They had no tanks, just the base of the toilet and the seat. Our bathrooms had no doors to the entrance, probably as a deterrent to this behavior, so the counters were a no-go. The toilet paper dispensers were those large circular ones. Believe me, I agree with those of you saying it's gross and idiotic, but there weren't that many alternatives in the bathroom. We weren't allowed to have bags or backpacks with us, so no one carried a purse, and they did it in the middle of class, so bringing a textbook would be suspect. Also, the main offenders were too young to drive, so they didn't have keys necessarily, and this was pre-smartphone, and before the average high school student even had a cell phone. Edit 2. Real glad the cheerleaders' collective idiocy lead to my highest rated comment. There was a rumor that our female English teacher was sleeping with the starting QB, and that her youngest child was not her husband's, but the QB's. She was caught sleeping with a different one of her students years later, and it is now known she has slept with a number of former students including the QB. Now people really think her youngest kid isn't her husband's. Edit. QB equals quarterback. American football. Sorry to my non-Americans on the thread. This is by far the most attention that a post of mine has received, and I love that it turned into a Blue Mountain State thread. Go Goats. Our math teacher in high school had a student teacher she was helping train to take over for her when she went on maternity leave. The student teacher was maybe 20 to 21 and a fairly attractive young woman. So naturally all the guys in the class had a crush on her. One guy in particular was a super senior and 18 to 19. He flirted with her non-stop, and she would act super embarrassed and blush and in a non-committal way tell him to knock it off. I'm sure you see where this is going. Well, towards the end of the semester he was bragging about going on a date with her and how they went to the movies, and he went back to her place and they had sex. We all thought he was full of crap. But the rumor got around the school, and of course the teachers and faculty found out. Then one day she has just gone. And we had substitute teachers for the rest of the semester. We all knew what happened. Looking back, it's kind of a shame that she probably wrecked her future teaching career of him. Yeah, teachers shouldn't start that young with people they were allowed to bang a few weeks ago. The music teacher in my high school was rumored to have been fired for sending duck pics to a female student. There had been subs taking his place for nearly a month. The principal said he was too ill to come into work, and eventually another rumor that he had cancer started spreading around. He had been bald longer than anyone could remember. If you asked any of the school staff what was going on, they would just say he's just sick right now. We don't know when he'll be returning. One day in my physics class, everyone in the class pestered the teacher for the whole period until he finally gave in. Some people were still trying to argue the cancer story. One student asked the physics teacher did he send nudes to that girl, and he finally said, that thing that you think happened, it happened. The student said, so he did. And the teacher simply nodded his head yes. A month or so later, the music teacher showed up in school. Everyone was running up to him in the hallway asking what happened. He dodged every question, and the last thing I heard him say was, I'm just here to get some things. He didn't teach his class that day, and I never saw him again. Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comments section below.